a knock at the door. A widow opens it and finds a debt collector standing on her doorstep. He has not come for her furniture. He has not come for her land. He has come for her 2 sons. Because in the ancient world, when you could not pay your debts, the lender did not just take your possessions, he took your family. This is a true story from one of the oldest books ever written, and hidden inside it is a blueprint for getting out of debt that still works today. And here is the strangest part. The most important lesson in this story is not the miracle itself. It is the exact moment the miracle stopped. Because that moment reveals why most people never escape their debt, no matter how hard they try. The story is found in the book of 2 Kings, chapter 4. A woman comes to the prophet Elisha in complete desperation. Her husband is dead. And here is the detail that makes this story uncomfortable. Her husband was not a gambler or a fool. He was a man who served God, a respected member of the community, a leader people looked up to. He did everything right in public. And he still died, buried in debt so deep that creditors were now legally entitled to seize his children as slaves. Let that sink in. Being a good person does not protect you from debt. Being religious does not protect you from debt. Debt does not check your character before it destroys your family. That is the first mindset shift this story demands. Debt is not a moral failing reserved for reckless people. It is a trap that catches hardworking, well-meaning, faithful people every single day. The average American household carries multiple credit cards. More than 1.5 million people file for bankruptcy every year. Households with student loans owe an average of $59,000, and some people are still paying on degrees they earned 30 years ago. So the widow cries out for help, and Elisha responds with a question that changes everything. He asks her, "What do you have in your house? Not what do you owe? Not how bad is it? What do you have?" She answers the way most people in crisis answer, "Nothing. I have nothing at all, except a small jar of olive oil." She is staring so hard at what she lacks that she almost cannot see what she holds. And that is the trap. When people drown in debt, they inventory their bills every night, but never inventory their resources. So here is the first actionable step. Tonight, before bed, write down everything you have, every skill, every asset, every spare hour, every connection. That list is where your way out begins. But knowing what you have is only step 1. If there is no plan for what to do with it, the list is just paper. And the plan Elisha gives her sounds absolutely insane. He tells her to go to every neighbor and borrow empty jars. Not a few, as many as she can possibly find. Then go home, shut the door behind her and her sons, and start pouring her 1 small jar of oil into all the empty ones. Think about how ridiculous that sounds. 1 small jar cannot fill 1 large container, let alone dozens. The math does not work. The logic does not work. And this is the friction point where most people quit. The way out of debt almost never looks logical at the start. A side business earning $40 a week looks pointless next to a $30,000 debt. Selling 1 item, cutting 1 subscription, picking up 1 extra shift feels like pouring a teaspoon into an ocean. But notice what the widow does. She does not argue. She does not run a feasibility study. She obeys. She gathers the jars, shuts the door, and starts pouring. And the oil keeps flowing. 1 jar fills, then another, then another. Notice also that the door was shut. No audience, no spectators, no announcing the plan on social media. The work of getting out of debt happens in private, quietly, jar by jar, payment by payment, while nobody is watching. And then comes the moment that changes everything. She turns to her son and says, "Bring me another jar." And he answers, "There are no jars left." And the scripture says, then the oil stopped flowing. Read that again. The oil did not run out. The jars did. The supply was unlimited. Her capacity was the limit. If she had borrowed 10 more jars, she would have filled 10 more. If she had borrowed 1,000, she would have filled 1,000. That is why Elisha specifically warned her, do not ask for just a few. The size of her preparation determined the size of her breakthrough. And this is where so many people sabotage themselves. They pray for a flood while carrying a teacup. They dream of being debt-free but plan like it is impossible. They put a ceiling on their own miracle before it ever starts. Then Elisha gives her the final instruction, and the order of it matters. Go sell the oil, pay your debts, and you and your sons can live on what is left. Income first. Debts paid second. Lifestyle funded last. Most people run that order in reverse. Lifestyle first, debts when convenient, income never expanded. Flip the order and everything changes. One more dose of honesty. This was a miracle, but it was not magic. The widow still had to knock on doors and endure the embarrassment of asking. She still had to carry heavy jars. She still had to pour and pour and pour. God supplied the oil, but she supplied the sweat. Anyone waiting to become debt-free without effort is not waiting on a miracle. They are waiting on a lottery ticket. And lottery tickets are how people get into debt, not out of it. So now you have the blueprint. Inventory what you have. Act before it makes sense. Prepare for more than you think possible. Work in private. And pay in the right order. But here is the next problem you are going to face. The moment you start this journey, you will discover why the system around you makes debt so easy to get into and so hard to escape. There is a reason credit is pushed on you from every direction, and it is darker than most people realize. In the next video, we expose what debt really is beneath the surface, and why one famous quote about slavery explains the modern financial system better than any economics textbook. Watch it now, because you cannot escape a trap you do not fully see.